Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated. Welcome back to Nerds Amalgamated. This week we're talking about Blizzard suing a fan server, the massive whale graveyard, that is a massive graveyard of whales, not a graveyard for massive whales.
It's like, look at all these people that spent so much money. This is where they go and die.
Not that kind of whale. Touch grass, DJ. And our third topic, why film and TV production is leaving Los Angeles. Escape from LA. So, first up, no, nobody's waiting for a sequel to Escape from LA. Weren't those movies like, they're cult classics, but they're not very good from what I've heard. I've never actually seen those ones. Anyway, our first topic is Blizzard suing Project Ascension, a World of Warcraft fan server. So Project Ascension is a fan server with over 1 million players. And Blizzard has filed a lawsuit saying that they distributed and are continuing to distribute millions of pirated copies of Blizzard's copyrighted software, calling it a lucrative way to exploit and profit from popularity of the World of Warcraft game experience. The defendants have built an entire business on large-scale, egregious, and ongoing infringement of intellectual property. Project Ascension has also caused significant and irreparable harm to Blizzard. So, World of Warcraft, I'm sure everyone knows that, but Project Ascension is a bit different. It's a modded version of World of Warcraft. And from their website, they say it's a classless game that allows you to imagine and build the character of your dreams. So they've changed the way the skill trees work and have it free to play, but you can buy cosmetics using in-game currency called donation points. And Blizzard claimed that Project Ascension has made millions of dollars from selling donation points.
So this is kind of like Dota, in a manner of speaking, how they've it's the Project Ascension. From what I'm seeing, it's basically a Temu version of WoW, and made it like, oh, this is our own game, quote unquote.
So you're comparing that to Dota because Dota is no, Dota was the original of that style of game, but it was a mod for Warcraft 3.
Yeah,
and then there was League of Legends and Dota 2, which are completely unrelated to Warcraft and made by other companies. So yeah, I think this is an interesting question. How much can you modify a game before being allowed to claim it's a different game? And how does the licensing work? Because obviously Project Ascension doesn't have a license. And not so much these days, but especially in the early days. The games were a lot more closely related to each other. Like Half-Life, you can load the Half-Life maps into Quake, and they're missing a few features, but you can theoretically play through most of Half-Life in the Quake engine.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, because Gold Source and then Source, they're both just, Source is the modern version of Gold Source, which, just to be confusing, you'd think Gold Source would be the version, but Gold Source is a fork of the Quake 3 engine, which itself is a fork of the Doom engine, but Doom and Quake were both published by id. So obviously Project Ascension hasn't gotten licensing to do this, but other developers have. On the other hand, being allowed to run modded servers is a big part of what we used to have with games. It's unrelated to Stop Killing Games. Stop Killing Games is focusing on games being shut down entirely. But it used to be we could take a game and pull it apart and rebuild it however we wanted. And it's only in the last really 15 years that has been locked down so hard that it's become impossible for most games.
what I find is the fact that the people who made Project Ascension, did they know that Blizzard was eventually going to come after them after all these years?
Almost certainly, because last year Blizzard sued Turtle Wow, which is another fan server, and in April 26th, they were awarded a permanent injunction to shut down Turtle.
Ah,
So then there's another project called unrelated to Blizzard called Enderroll, which is a total conversion mod for Skyrim, but you can get it on Steam, so it's officially published. I don't know whether it's free to play, but you can pay for the soundtrack. So I don't know whether the Enderroll devs have made any money off it or whether they got a license to do this.
I'm looking
But
at
it is
the
a
end.
full game on Steam.
Hmm.
Sorry, no, it's a full entry on Steam. You need to own Skyrim to be able to install it.
I'm looking at the content for this game. The first three soundtracks of the Enderroll games, they're free. The Enderroll Forgotten Stories soundtrack, that is $10.25.
Yeah, so they're getting paid for what they've done. Now, I think the secret to that is that they're charging for the soundtrack, not for the mod.
Which
But
makes
then
sense.
then Project Ascension is charging for cosmetics, not for the mod.
So what happens to all the millions of players that pays for the cosmetics in that game when now that the server is shutting down? Do they just are the characters all going to be lost overnight or?
Yeah, they're about to lose everything because I can't
Oh,
imagine Project Ascension winning this case.
oh man. So you mentioned Turtle Webs getting sued and it's settled and it died in May, and also the other modded games. But when in relation with Turtle Wow and Ascension, are we seeing the same play being played out, or will there be a different strategy?
I think it's going to be the same strategy. So to play Project Ascension, you have to download the Project Ascension launcher, which lets you play Project Ascension without having a WoW subscription. So they're also hosting it on servers in Russia, hosted by Aza Group, who were sanctioned in 2025 for supporting cyber criminals. So the tricky part is that everyone involved in making the game, except for one developer so far, so they've named 6 defendants and several companies used as shell companies claimed in the case to exist solely as a conduit for monetary transactions and to avoid US tax liability. So they're claiming 5 of the 6 defendants are US citizens and 1 is Australian.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't think Blizzard is going to back down from this. And I don't think Project Ascension has much of a foot to stand on. So it's all legalese and big scary words about tax avoidance and operating in Russia, but I don't think either of those things are really a good look for Project Ascension.
Yeah.
It's the
I
sort of
mean,
thing that makes me think they know they're doing something wrong and are trying to avoid repercussions.
yeah. I mean, at what point does the whole like passionate fan project became we built a small criminal empire and gave it a cute mascot?
Somewhere around this point,
And I will say this is not the first time we've seen like criminal organizations using games to earn money. I mean, Call of Duty is always infamous for that.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not saying the Project Ascension team are part of a larger criminal empire. I'm just saying that they seem shady the way that, it seems like they knew they would get in trouble and they wouldn't have much of a leg to stand on because they are based in the US, but they are using what appear to be shell companies and operating out of Russia.
Yeah, it feels like circumstantial. It feels circumstantial
Really,
yeah, we're
to
like,
me, it
oh,
feels like they're circumventing things. So yeah, I don't think they have anything to stand on, and they're probably going to lose this. But
but
I think it's also worth noting that these sorts of projects are what keep MMOs alive after the developer takes the decision to shut it down.
Yeah, but that said though, like this lawsuit, and you saying about the whole how this is important for MMOs to keep going, and this lawsuit, it feels like Blizzard saying, "Hey, we're going to kill this concept of private servers, everybody."
Yeah, so I do wonder if, in some way, Stop Killing Games might have a sort of a stretch goal for fan servers for MMOs. But I think the big issue here is that World of Warcraft is still running and still hugely popular.
Yeah,
And the fan servers, I remember there used to be fan servers for Classic WoW, which is a thing that Blizzard now provides. So the fan servers don't technically need to exist. But I think, yeah, the bypassing the need for a subscription to World of Warcraft and selling cosmetics are what are going to get them in really deep trouble here. But from a game preservation point of view, if World of Warcraft was shutting down soon, I would want this sort of project to be allowed to keep going because it's preserving an MMO.
even if it's under like Russian server infrastructure.
Well, if they weren't trying to avoid getting in trouble from Blizzard, I nearly said
Hmm.
Bethesda, if they weren't trying to avoid getting in trouble, they wouldn't need to host in Russia. So if Blizzard had abandoned the IP and something like City of Heroes is what I'm thinking. That was an MMO where the developer shut it down and abandoned the IP. Fans got together and made fan servers that revived the game and were hugely popular. And
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of it. Yeah, holy damn.
yeah, so it's been shut down for a really long time. But the people who created the modded City of Heroes servers got some sort of license from the people who own the IP. And they're also working on a game that is completely dead. So what's really interesting is that it took 6 years from the game being officially shut down to when private servers started to pop up. And it took a further 5 years before the publisher decided to give a license to Homecoming Servers, who ran one of the biggest unofficial servers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if they were looking at a game that had shut down and been abandoned like City of Heroes had, Project Ascension might have a leg to stand on.
But then okay, here's a question though with the with that scenario, where would you draw the line between this is theft and this is the community keeping a beloved game alive that the company itself stopped supporting?
I think the line is when the company stops supporting it, which is what Stop Killing Games is arguing. When the company decides to stop supporting a game, it should be possible for players to host their own servers or run the game without needing access to the official servers.
Okay. So ultimately, who do you think is the villain in this entire story? Is it Blizzard here for crushing the community creativity, or is it Ascension the is it Ascension for monetizing someone else's IP for years and calling it a donation?
I think Ascension is legally in the wrong here. Ethically, I'm a little conflicted because being able to modify something you bought is a big part of ownership. And it's not just games where that's being locked down, it's also being locked down by like us. So I think that the big difference is going to be I've lost that train of thought. I think that yes, legally Project Ascension is the villain, but ethically I'm conflicted because I think we should have the right to mod our games. And a lot of the reason legally there's a problem with this is the DMCA US, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is a law against circumventing copyright protection in order to modify or make copies of a digital product. And a key part of that is why companies can get away with suing people who are creating fan servers. And Lewis Rossman has some videos recently about the DMCA and how the guy who wrote the original DMCA thinks it failed and isn't doing the right thing, and also he wrote it in a way to get around laws that did exist. So yeah, it's an interesting legal problem. Ethically, I think we should be able to modify and edit our own games that we own. But yeah, that's all I have to say, really.
You get, I was gonna ask you a bit of a hypothetical question about
Yeah.
this one though. Like, say if you found out tomorrow your favorite mod, ROM hack, or fan project was secretly running through sanctioned Russian server infrastructure, would that change how you feel about supporting it, or is the "don't ask, don't tell" basically the unwritten rule of fan-made gaming? But I think you
Well,
already answered that part.
yeah. I think the only reason they're going with Russian servers is because they know it makes it, like, it's because they think it'll make it harder for Blizzard to take them.
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing. Russia has historically not had any respect for Western copyright laws. And whether that's a good or a bad thing, that means that a lot of projects infringing on copyright will jump through hoops to be hosted in Russia so that they can operate without being taken down.
That that's interesting though, because I reckon the real scandal isn't the fact that Ascension existed or it was that went through Russian service. I think the real scandal is basically how Blizzard tolerated that business model in silence for years and only acted on it because Ascension got big enough to be worth suing.
Yeah, to reach 1 million users, it probably had to be around for quite a while. So yeah, it's an interesting question about whether they waited specifically for it to get that big, or if they just didn't know it existed. What was their goal in only raising the lawsuit at this point? Or were they waiting until they had favorable results from the Turtle WoW lawsuit in order to really. I've lost that thought again.
Need that tea?
Yeah, I'm out of tea. That is probably my problem.
You reckon you reckon this whole this lawsuit this let's compare this to another company that's famous for suing people, Nintendo. Remember when Project Yuzu and how it got very big, and then and then Nintendo went, no, 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 you, no, 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 you must you are going to get sued. The timing was also weird on that one too, would you agree?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's an interesting question again. Whether Nintendo waited for Yuzu to be a certain size, whether they waited for it to be at a certain point in development, or what was going on to make them decide to bring the lawsuit at that time.
So so when are we gonna get when's the next update for this lawsuit? Have they clearly set any direct timeline or anything like that, or is it just up in the air at the moment?
No, they haven't set a timeline. It's not like you can set a timeline for a lawsuit. It's just a thing that happens. You don't get to say it's going to happen this week.
This Friday this Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning, come to this courthouse for the epic Blizzard lawsuit.
Yeah, like you can't schedule it like that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Ultimately, I feel sorry for the whales in this in this server.
So no, that's not wrong kind of whales.
I know. I know. It was a crappy segue. I know.
Anyway, researchers have found a 5.3 million year old whale necropolis in the Diamantina zone, which is off the coast of Perth. And to be clear, that's a 5.3 million year old necropolis of whales, not a graveyard for a 5.3 million year old. So, we've known for a long time of a thing called a whale, which is now also the name of a movie that looks like it's going to be absolutely terrible. I saw a trailer, like, after we picked this as the topic, I saw a trailer for a movie called Whaleful about a guy getting eaten alive by a whale. And I saw the trailer and I thought, man, this movie is going to be terrible.
Wait, wasn't there a Bible story about this as well?
Yeah. Although the Bible never specifies whale, it just says fish.
Yeah.
It's just people assume whale. And the thing is, most whale species can't eat a human. You'll fit in their mouth, but they can't swallow because their esophagus is too narrow.
And there was Pinocchio.
Yeah, which also makes me question what kind of whales do they have in the Mediterranean, where both of these stories took place. Let's find out. Okay, I am surprised that sperm whales live in the Mediterranean.
Huh.
They have the Mediterranean cetaceans, according to Wikipedia, include the short-beaked dolphin, common dolphin, bottlenose dolphin, Risso's dolphin, long-finned pilot whale, Cuvier's beaked whale, sperm whale, and fin whale. I didn't think the Mediterranean was deep enough for sperm whales, because they're known for diving quite deep to hunt.
Yeah, they are fascinating.
Yeah, so anyway, back to the topic. The researchers have found a large area in the Diamantina zone, which is 4.6 to 7 kilometers of depth, extending 1,200 kilometers along the seafloor of the southeast Indian Ocean. And when a whale dies, it sets in motion what's called a whale fall, which is basically where, as the whale sinks, various other animals come up, and it's a whale. It goes a long way.
Yeah, it's kind of like the circle of life, like the Lion King. And then you die, and then the animals eat you, and then your body gets eaten by the grass and all that stuff.
Yeah, but different because whales eat krill,
Mm.
and I'm pretty sure krill eat plankton, which are photosynthetic. So nothing is eating the whales and then being eaten by the whales. So they're not part of the circle of.
Yeah.
But the circle of life is itself just a gross simplification of food chain.
Yep.
Something 6-year-olds can understand in the movie about lions that is just Macbeth. No, wait, it's Hamlet. The Lion
Yep.
King 2 is Macbeth, I
Yeah,
think.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
then they've got The Lion King 1.5, which is the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So what they've been researching is the whale falls in this deep part of the ocean, which are different to the whale falls that occur on the continental shelf.
So how exactly did they date a whale's skull that was sitting there on the floor for 5.3 million years?
I'm assuming carbon dating. So they discovered them during a series of 33 dives in a ROV, a remote operated vehicle. No, sorry, it's not I read that wrong. It's not a remote operated vehicle. It's just a submersible. So I'm assuming they collected a sample of whale bone and then put it through carbon dating.
Yeah. Would be cool though. Imagine being a submersible. Like, what would it be like down there? Be like, what's it like watching brittle stars and bone-bearing worms or carcass? Ugh.
Yeah. Here we go. So to determine the ages of the fossils, they analysed specimens for their strontium isotope composition, which is similar to carbon dating, but using strontium instead of carbon.
What does it actually measure? The
So
isotope.
animals take in particular radioactive elements and non-radioactive elements and build them into their bones and other parts of their plants do this as well. Basically, every living thing takes in a various elements that are either that are often radioactive to some degree. And if you have a radioactive sample, you can tell how old it was by looking at the half-life of that sample and calculating the amount of the original material and the amounts of decay products. So if you know that the half-life of a particular isotope is 10,000 years, just to pick, and you have half of when you weigh it out, you have half of isotope and half of what it decays into. This is grossly simplified. Then you know your sample is 10,000 years old.
Okay. Yeah, it's true.
But alternatively, you can take historical records of seawater, in this case, and compare the amount of strontium in the water a million years ago with the amount of strontium in of whales.
Ah.
And they likely get the amount of strontium in the water from looking at ice cores. Imagine.
So how far into the necropolis have they explored into?
Well, they've only done 33 dives, and the necropolis is known to spread across 1,000 meters,
Oh, damn.
which is a huge area. So
So is anyone gonna send another mission to find more whale falls, or or even the rest of the carcasses?
probably not right away. But
Oh,
they estimate the density of whale remains is up to 760 individuals per square kilometer, which is interesting because there's a lot more whales there than you'd expect to find in other parts of the world. So when I saw this, I had two thoughts. Either what's attracting the whales to die there? Is it like elephants have elephant graveyards? Are
Yeah.
whales having whale graveyards?
Yeah.
Or is there something down there that kills whales?
That's what I'm thinking too. Like the horror movie in me
Yes.
is like we see this necropolis of whale bones. You like go, there's a big monster down there, and we shouldn't disturb it.
Do not mess with Cthulhu.
This also reminds me of that Red Dwarf episode. Remember the sirens? They had like a huge ship graveyard.
No, I don't recall that one.
It was so the sirens are basically a genetically engineered life forms who can transform into anything that that your mind can perceive. And like there's one scene where Lister is trying to get the ship free from the graveyard, and one of the siren transforms into Lister's girlfriend, Pete Trans's sister. It's like, Smagadell, you're Pete Trans's sister. And he starts making out with the creature. Disgusting.
Fair enough. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to rewatch.
yeah, but okay. Here's the thing though that's interesting about this. Okay, it, instead of saying like it's a necropolis, why use a necropolis in the first place? Is the necropolis really scientifically rigorous, or is it just another great PR?
I don't know. It's the word they use in the original paper.
Okay.
It probably just sounds cooler than graveyard.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, the researchers' theory for why there are so many whales here is that the shape of the Diamantina zone is causes it to be a good foraging ground for beaked whales. Beaked whales, including sperm whales. So in this case, the strap tooth and Andrew's beak whales being the most common whales found there. Although there are some baleen whale skulls in the Diamantina zone.
What's interesting about this entire thing is, remember how the other day we were looking about space-grown pharmaceuticals, and
Yeah.
now we've got these deep sea graveyard. Like both are very extreme environments with untapped resources. Is the ocean floor becoming the new frontier for the way space is?
Oh yeah, we've been talking about this for years. People have wanted to mine the ocean for decades, if not hundreds of years. And it mostly doesn't happen because technologically it's been out of reach. But recently it has come into reach. Now there's a lot of debate about whether we should. Because we've already screwed up the land a whole bunch, why not screw up the ocean as well?
Do you want another horror story? Like, I mean, we've already have 2012, the way the Earth is crumbling and disintegrating. Do you want another? Do you want a sequel to that?
I found a statistic for you.
Yeah.
So the area surveyed is 640 square meters. So
Wow.
yeah, they've surveyed a tiny little area.
Oh shit.
Cthulhu might still be out there.
I mean, we'll be happy to fund a submersible just to just to look for the guy.
Yeah, well, the problem with looking for Cthulhu is that Cthulhu lives in the city Alea, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Lovecraftian spelling is designed to be very difficult to pronounce, but it's very close to the pole of inaccessibility in the Pacific Ocean, which basically means the furthest location you can get from land. So it's a long way to go and look for Cthulhu.
Oh, I'm scared now. I'm just really scared.
All right, why don't you tell me why people are running away from Hollywood to raise your spirits a little bit?
No, I don't know whether that's raising my spirits, but okay. So since 2022, the streaming bubble has burst. The US has roughly lost 73,000 production jobs, with about two-thirds of those losses occurring in Los Angeles. Productions once destined for California are now routinely filming in Canada, the UK, Australia, Romania, Portugal, South Africa, and Georgia. Projects like the Little House on the Prairie revival, Manitoba, filmed in Manitoba, the Scrubs revival filmed in British Columbia, and sequels to Beetlejuice and Spaceballs. 81 countries are now offering film/TV incentives, with UK alone spending billions on subsidies. Producers cite generous foreign tax credits, cheaper labor, favorable exchange rates, and lighter red tape. And even when production stay, regulatory friction is brutal. The Baywatch reboot almost collapsed despite Gavin Newsom personally pushing $21 million to bring it back after county officials and the Coastal Commission started restricting basic shoreline production activities. A couple of people are now comparing this to the Detroit to Hollywood, Hollywood becoming the next Detroit, as in the as in the collapse of the automotive industry in Detroit.
So they reckon that because when the auto manufacturers left Detroit, the economy collapsed. They're
Yep.
worried that the same will happen to Hollywood.
Yep.
I could agree. Seems likely. So much of Hollywood is built up around being Hollywood, but LA is also a huge city. So I don't think I don't know. I'd have to see some statistics, but I don't get the general feeling that Hollywood is the only thing keeping LA above water.
I mean, I can agree with you on that one, but then on the other hand, I mean, look at how many movies. Okay, aside from the Marvel movies, do you know any other movies that's been bringing in a lot of income into Hollywood?
No, because I haven't really been following which Hollywood movies are, made in Hollywood.
What's going to be interesting is a lot of people will be asking, is my favorite show or franchise actually one of those that fled, or would I have ever noticed that if nobody told me?
I mean, they film some Hollywood movies in Brisbane, like movies set in America, not necessarily Hollywood. So I wouldn't know whether most movies are filmed in Hollywood.
Yeah. What's interesting about this story is because
Oops.
we've cut. Um,
I've just dumped a bunch of stuff.
well, what's
I reached out
interesting?
to stretch and knocked a pile of my stuff off my table. So that's the noise you just heard.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, I think a bunch of paper just fell off the floor. What's interesting though about this story is that we've covered the Nintendo and Switch 2 hardware as industry under regulatory or economic pressure story. Uh, Is this the same beast wearing a different costume though? Like it's just with sound stages instead of Joy-Cons?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't think it's so much that movies aren't being made in Hollywood because of regulation. I think it's just that it works out cheaper to not have to do everything in LA where it is very expensive. Like life in LA is expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah. But then again, though, like say if a show was set in California, it's set in California, it's shot entirely in Canada with a Canadian crew with the fake palm trees and all. Is it fair to call it American anymore? Or is that just a flag of convenience at this point?
Yeah, so I do wonder whether movies like that will start to be set outside the US,
Yeah.
which would be nice because every alien invasion movie, what happens to the rest of the world? Who knows?
It's like, hey, there's a zombie outbreak in England. Hey, we're not getting this in Australia here, but guys.
Yeah, who knows what's going on in the rest of the world in any of these movies. So I reckon it would be good to get more diversity of setting.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I can agree with you there. Yeah. I mean, if the next Marvel movie, if the next Marvel, Star Wars, or franchise movie is shot entirely overseas for tax reasons, are we going to be mad about it, or do we only get mad when it's framed as a loss by a headline?
I don't know.
Although this also reminds me of, don't know whether you remember the story with remember Scorsese when he was talking about Marvel movies and how they were theme park movies with former Disney CEO Bob Iger went, the film industry is full of big margins. No, not big margins, little margins.
Yeah, well, filming outside the US is a way to increase
Ma-
those margins.
Although, one could say that like this is just rich studios crying poor while still paying CEOs 8 figures. How would you actually respond to that when it's not entirely wrong?
We have bigger fish to fry,
Yeah, that's true.
like those
Y-
CEOs.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think like I think there are bigger issues to deal with than the movie industry not making enough money. I think also that the CEOs are getting paid a bucket load, and a couple of actors get paid a bucket load, then everyone else is paid a pittance. I'd like to see it spread out a bit more because you don't have a movie without a prop director.
Yeah,
A lot of people go to Hollywood and work for a pittance because they want to be part of the movie industry. Same for game development. And I think some of the companies there are taking advantage of that and paying an absolute pittance to because they can get away with it.
yeah, but then let's say, for example, if a film, if a federal film subsidy or a game development subsidy bill passes, like wouldn't the U.S. become a welfare state for an industry that constantly lectures everybody about capitalism and rugged self sufficiency?
As if that's not just the US as it is,
Yeah.
going on about self sufficiency, importing everything from China.
Yep.
No, the fact is, you can't be self sufficient. It is impossible. And with the increasingly global economy, it's becoming even harder to have an insular nation. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it means that for a couple of decades, things made in Japan were garbage. Then Japan learned how to make good things and greatly improved their technology. Now Japan is a powerhouse of development.
Oh yeah. No thanks to governance and change in management. If only we had that sort of thing in in America
What
or
do
in the
you
West.
mean?
I don't know. I think the governance in states in Hollywood, for example, it's not helping anyone basically. Like there's a lack. It's just there's no accountability as such. It's just everyone's finger pointing at who's got it wrong and stuff, and then they promise like they'll fix the problem, but they didn't fix the problem.
Well, I think one of the big issues of Hollywood is that they're always crying poor when they do Hollywood accounting.
Oh yeah.
Like the fact is that they always make it look like their movie didn't make any money, oh poor us. But really the movie did make a bucket load of money.
Yep.
And you obviously wouldn't keep doing it if it didn't make you a bucket load of money. So yeah, I think Hollywood accounting is a big issue that should be cracked down on.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be interesting, the whole idea of this movie was made in Hollywood. It's going to be turned into a tax bracket and not a place.
What does that even mean? Do you know how tax brackets work?
Vaguely, vaguely, very vaguely. But what I'm trying to say is basically that culture, as in culturally, when a show is physically filmed, if the writing and stars are still American, or is the made in Hollywood thing a meaningless label at this point? That's what I was trying to iterate.
Well, I think if the writer and stars are both American, a movie can be culturally American even in America. I also think there's a lot of America that can be filmed in that isn't LA or within the 30 miles boundary or whatever it is they have.
Yeah,
Like, I know that Hollywood got a boost because it was easy to film a lot of different areas within a reasonable distance and have a variety of settings. But there's also a whole lot of the world that, not just America, that exists outside that 30-mile limit. And I know it's harder to film if you have to ship everything in and bring everyone along with you. But I think I really just think it'll be nice to have some sort of culture that isn't just LA culture represented on the silver screen.
yeah. And I think we're slowly getting that with a lot of the other with the rise of the foreign movie, Korean culture, Japanese culture, Chinese culture coming into coming into as well.
Yeah, well, in the US, no, it's gone. I'm out of tea.
God damn it, Professor. All right, let's go.
I thought I knew what I was doing, but I'm out of tea.
You need to go to the shops tonight after this.
I do. Anyway, let's move it along to our shout outs. On the 16th of June this year, Bobby Prince passed away. Robert Caskin Prince III, known professionally as Bobby Prince, was an American video game composer and sound designer. He worked as a contractor for 3D Realms, Apogee Entertainment, and id Software. His most notable works included Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Doom 2, Duke Nukem 2, and Duke 3D. So we can blame him for the Doom soundtrack going as hard as it does. He also did Commander Keen, which is a children's game from id. Bit of tonal whiplash going from Commander Keen to Doom. Bobby Prince was 81, which surprised me that he was that old, yet so into games just 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was, quite old compared to the average game developer that you hear of from that era. And on the 16th of June, Davy Chase passed away. Davy Chase played Samantha Darko in the film Donnie Darko, and in the sequel S Darko, which no one has ever seen and never should see from what I've heard. Chihiro Ogino in the English dub of Spirited Away, and Lilo Pelikai in the original Lilo and Stitch film.
Yeah, apparently, when the creators of Lilo and Stitch heard the news, they made a very touching tribute to her, which I was like, "Aw, that's really sad, man." If I can
Yes,
find
it
that pic.
is. And on the 17th of June, the tree Major Oak died. Major Oak was a tree in the middle of Sherwood Forest, estimated to be between 800 and 1,200 years old. It was allegedly the shelter of Robin Hood and his merry men. So, in recent years, it suffered from heat waves and produced progressively fewer leaves, but its death was officially confirmed this year after the succession of long hot summers caused it to fail to produce any leaves. They attributed part of the blame to scaffolding, which had artificially forced the tree to pump water towards its propped up branches, rather than allowing it to shed branches naturally and begin growing down, as would be expected for a tree of its age. Other contributing factors included soil compaction and alterations to the water table caused by nearby mining.
Ah.
The tree will remain standing rather than being felled. And DJ, what is our messed up moment this week?
Oh, our messed up moment for this week. Do you remember the movie Twister?
Yes, I do.
That movie had a lot of production nightmares. Were plagued by poor weather, including lightning and mud, and hostility on set between the Bond and crew members who complained that the Bond planned poorly and overworked the crew. Halfway
Poor
through
weather
production,
in a movie about bad weather.
was that?
How ironic.
Halfway through production, the Bond angrily shoved a camera assistant down after he missed a cue, causing director of photography Don Burgess and his team to walk off set, and prompting producer Steven Spielberg to fly to Oklahoma to criticize the Bond for his behavior. After a week's pause, filming resumed with Jack and Green stepping in for Burgess, but Green himself was hospitalized 2 days before filming wrapped when a house set rigged to collapse was activated with him inside, hitting him in the head and back. The Bond had to fill in to shoot the last few scenes of the project. That's wild to have Steven Spielberg come in to just criticize you. That's like your dad coming back from work and going, "What the hell have you done, kid?"
Yeah.
The
And
cast. Yep.
having a house collapse on you reminds me of Buster Keaton,
Oh
who
yeah.
did a movie where that literally happened to him, and he pops up through a window in the wall. And he did that stunt for real with a set weighing like literal tons. If he'd missed his mark by a few centimeters, he would have been crushed to death by the house.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was painful. That was scary to watch.
Yeah, Buster Keaton did all his own stunts, and some of them are quite impressive.
Oh yeah. Count Dankula made a video about him, and I was watching that. I was like, "Wow, how does his body survive all that injury?" The cast wasn't exempt from the difficulties of making the film. Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton were blinded during production. by electronic lamps used to darken the skies in shoots, needing several days to recover. The two also had to get vaccinated for hepatitis after shooting in a particularly unsanitary ditch, while Hunt experienced two head injuries due to stunts. The film started with a hard deadline so Hunt could return to California and begin the fourth season of her sitcom Mad About You. By the end, she had to get her co-star Paul Reiser to agree to a 2.5 week delay so she could stay and finish the film.
Okay, well, our wacky movie for this
Oh,
week. You
before you
got
go,
more?
no, I was gonna say what before what you were saying about Major Oak being dead. I saw a couple of social media posts saying that this is a terrible omen. It's a sign, and some were equating it to the White Tree of Gondor.
Can we not? Like, enough of the omens, please.
First it was the necropolis, now this.
I'm sick of the world ending, okay? So, on the 17th of June 1963, the movie Mouse on the Moon premiered in the US. And the plot is that a tiny country persuades the Americans and Soviets that they're starting a space program when they really just want some money for new plumbing. It was made on sets left over from Cornel Wilde's film Sword of Lancelot, and the film starred Bernard Cribbins, who you may know better as Wilf from Doctor Who.
Yeah. I'm glad that you know that name. I'm glad you know that name.
Yeah, sadly he passed away a couple of years ago, but not before he managed to film a scene for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary.
For those who are not familiar who Wilf is, he is Wilfred Mott, the grandfather of Donna Noble during the Tennant years.
And also, as Wilfred Mott, grandfather of Donna Noble, during the Tennant years.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this that scene with him knocking 3 times on the door during that
4 times.
4 times, yeah, 4 times. Thank you. Oh man, I was like, damn you, Wilf, damn you. It had
Yep.
to be you, didn't it? It had to be you.
Yes, I'm not sure there's a more universally loved secondary character.
Yeah.
But, after filming The Mouse on the Moon, Walter Shenson and director Richard Lester went on to film the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night, and the American premiere was held at Cape Canaveral, where the cast members mingled with NASA astronauts.
Oh, that must have been a wild move. That must have been a wild meeting. Imagine you're the cast member and a couple of astronauts go up to you and say, "Hey, that movie was wildly inaccurate. We were actually in space. This is not how you act in space."
Yeah, well, it was the 60s, so.
Yeah, that's true.
It also starred Peter Sallis, who played the Russian delegate, who you might know better from his role in Wallace and Gromit: A Grand Day Out, which is also about going to the moon.
Man, first it was the cats going to the moon, now it's the mouse going to the moon, and we finally had a man and a dog on the moon.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. So look after yourselves, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next week.
Check us out on our other audio platforms, on our YouTube channel, our social media, and we also do game streams on Twitch. Stay happy, stay nerdy. See you guys.